BONEWORKS Marrow 2 Edition, or Remastered, or Plus, or Enhanced, or whatever the hell we want to call it, has a good bit of information about it, which a lot of you likely don't know, as all of this info comes exclusively from Twitter and Discord. So whether you follow everything or not, there's a good chance there's some info about this upcoming BONEWORKS Remastered Marrow 2 Plus Enhanced Edition you may have missed. So without further ado, here is everything we know. First and foremost, the game is confirmed to be releasing this year, 2025, and will be either released using the newly updated Marrow 2, or if Marrow 2 takes too long to develop, it may just release with Marrow 1.3 instead. We don't know a whole lot about what to expect with the new interaction engine of Marrow 2, but it does appear to have inside-out body tracking, or IOBT, on Quest, enabling players on Quest 3s to incorporate their chests and arms into gameplay. This version of BONEWORKS will be coming to Quest 3 and PC exclusively. If it is to release on something like the PSVR 2, it is not officially announced at the time of making this video. The game will not be released on Quest 2 guaranteed though. PC technically isn't outright confirmed either, but there's a couple of suspicious mentions about it that makes it seem like it is coming to PC. For example, this tweet talking more about the IOBT shown in this BONEWORKS clip and explaining that IOBT works on standalone, of course, but also that it works over QuestLink. It would be extremely misleading to show a BONEWORKS clip and talk about IOBT on PC if this is in reference to IOBT that would only work in BoneLab on PC. There's some more evidence suggesting that PC is getting the new BONEWORKS, but for the sake of time, I'm going to continue with the rest more important information and just hope you take my word for it. Getting back into the mention of IOBT, we know that this is more than just a cosmetic change, and will actually affect gameplay. Most interesting to me is the line in a Brandon tweet that says, "Tracked arms form a more natural pose, allowing better access to your range of motion, and stacks bones for more power." In a previous video, I mentioned that punching in BoneLab has become a lot more unreliable and difficult, and seeing this mention, I'm now suspicious that the punch changes were a result of the upcoming IOBT edition. We know that IOBT has been in development since before patch 4 was even released, so the timeline would add up. While I do believe that IOBT has the potential to be an awesome addition that makes the game much better, I worry that the game won't feel equal to players who don't have IOBT and literally can't access that extra power in their punches because they didn't specifically buy a Quest 3 or 3S. There's a lot of headsets, especially on PC, so making a major change like this might be a big problem, and even for PC players who have Quest 3s, QuestLink is notoriously very unreliable and can be extremely hit or miss. It's one thing to push VR forward by having players use the newer, better thing. It's another to force people to use what can widely be considered the worst option when compared to something like an Index with native DisplayPort and no reliance on Meta's software. Only time will tell if this becomes a real problem, but for now, I think it's an important thing to be cautious of considering the state of punching in BoneLab right now. Next up, onto more exciting news, BONEWORKS Remastered Marrow 2 Enhanced Plus Edition will be seeing some seemingly major changes to the levels in very interesting ways. Our first glimpse of this was actually shown in this IOBT clip I've shown 400 times already, but what's interesting to note this time is that this takes place in Break Room, where there's usually some legs running around here. Instead, it's a mirror. This in and of itself is interesting and different from OG BONEWORKS, but also worth noting is that this mirror is reflecting objects, something that currently does not happen in BoneLab, where it just reflects the player. That's a small change, but the other very, very interesting one is this seemingly central station or tower screenshot where we seem to be right up close to the big tower of BONEWORKS, alluding to an at least decently interesting change to the level design. Another thing worth noting is how much nicer the rain seemingly looks in this picture. For reference, here's what it looked like before, much more black and just generally not as polished compared to this newer updated version. Back on the topic of new content specifically, this screenshot showcases an area that wasn't originally in BONEWORKS as confirmed by Brandon himself, which on its own is exciting, but we actually got another screenshot via the BoneLab Discord server showing us this far shot of the tower. Someone on Twitter zoomed in and you can actually see what appears to be where this first screenshot was taken. If this is where the screenshot was taken, it is way the fuck up the tower, which is extremely intriguing considering Central Station in BONEWORKS usually ends just before the big staircase. This sort of implies a huge change to the level, although definitely manage your expectations, because for all we know, this could literally just be a big elevator that leads to the tower, or maybe just a slightly different starting area to the tower level. Really, we don't know anything regarding this for sure, so do manage your expectations just in case, because the last time we got overly excited for something, we got the Bone Lab campaign. Another exciting piece of information regarding BONEWORKS Marrow 2 Plus Enhanced is that for PC users, it appears to be implied that this is going to be an update and not a separate title that requires any form of purchasing for users who already own the game. Before delving into this deeper, it's important to make clear that this is very much speculation and should be taken with a grain of salt, as this isn't confirmed officially in any way, but rather heavily implied by Brandon based on his tweets and replies. Starting off with why I believe this new version of BONEWORKS isn't Marrow 2 Plus Enhanced Edition, but rather BONEWORKS 1.7, is that in this tweet, Brandon says the next versions of Lab and Works specifically, which I imagine implies an update to these two since they are mentioned right next to each other, and we know for sure the next version of Lab is an update. My next supporting piece of schizo theory is Nolnan saying BONEWORKS 1.7 and Brandon replying patch 7's all around, which is definitely said a bit as a joke, but I do think it has some truth to it. Only time will tell if this does become BONEWORKS 1.7, but for right now, my guess is that this will be an update, or I'd imagine we'd at least have a name for this BONEWORKS version by now. Our final piece of exciting official news is that this new BONEWORKS version is confirmed to be 90% finished in Marrow 1.2. 90%. Surely that must mean it can't be that much further, and this also means we should be seeing a release sometime in the semi-nearish future, but I actually think I have a rough estimate of the release date. First off, this tweet was made on March 14th, or 3-14, showing the tower clock being at the time 3:14. 3:14 is when the clock froze in BONEWORKS originally, and in a future update to BONEWORKS, these clocks were changed to 6:20. If BONEWORKS is 90% done, and we're now getting official announcements on correlated dates, I'd be willing to bet that if SLZ wants to have an extra special release date, then they'd shoot for 6/20 or June 20th to correlate with the game in its current state. The game is apparently 90% done, then 3 months for that last 10% sounds very possible on paper, although obviously I have no idea what 90% looks like from SLZ's perspective. For all we know, 90% could be 300 different level changes, or maybe just 3. Point is, this is obviously all speculation, so don't expect literally anything to happen at any point ever, other than the official time frame of this year. But it's always fun to do at least a little bit of speculating. It's not every day a big thing from SLZ is on the horizon, and let alone potentially this close. You can get 10% off the entire quest store using the link in the description. Make sure to take advantage of that when BONEWORKS releases, that way you can get it for 10% off. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to check out my last one where I attempt to play Bone Lab blind. It performed like ass, so I'd greatly appreciate any new eyes on it. And thank you so much for sticking to the end of this video. It means a lot that there's people equally as brain dead who are cursed with an unfortunate love for SLZ. With all of that garbage out of the way, I will catch you next time, fat bitches.